to this third evening of this year's UEA MA in Scriptwriting public workshops. My name's Ben Musgrave. I'm a co-convener of the MA with Sian Evans, while Steve Waters, Professor Steve Waters, who leads the programme, is on research leave, though he is, we're very pleased to say, here tonight. The MA in Scriptwriting is a growing and thriving programme, and our students encounter all kinds of things on the journey that they go on. But at the heart of their MA is the final dissertation, where our student writers develop a full-length piece of dramatic work for their chosen medium, whether that's stage or television or film or audio or anything else, under the guidance this year of excellent supervisors, Molly Naylor, Ian Ganood, Sian Evans and Timberlake Wertenbaker. But a really important moment in the dissertation process comes now, where our scriptwriters present scenes, short 10-minute extracts from their final dissertation scripts with alumni and student actors and in front of an audience of peers and industry. And I should just emphasise that what you're going to see tonight is very much and deliberately a work in progress, because we're so interested in this as part of a development process and hearing what you think, and that being part of the writers' journeys. And we've had two fantastic evenings so far, with an incredibly high standard of written work and also some exquisite performances. There'll be 6 writers presenting tonight. We have Jennifer Collard, Mehmet Izbudak, Imogen Lea, Yu Wong, Sam Gillett and Rosa Cooper-Davies. And each writer will say a few words to introduce their piece before they start. And we won't take a break, we'll be running all the way through. To watch the readings, we advise watching on gallery view, and everyone's got their cameras off, but while the performances are in place, unless you're a performer, it's a good idea to keep your cameras off. And you can also, what also works really well is if you hide non-video participants. So if you click that button in the top right hand corner of your screen, you can tell your Zoom to hide non-video participants, and that will create the feeling of an intimate room. In ordinary circumstances, we'd be at the garage tonight, and at the end we'd be able to mix and talk and have a drink afterwards. And it's so easy for conversation and feedback to emerge in bars afterwards. And it's harder to facilitate this on Zoom. But we'd love it if you could feedback to our writers, if you feel that you'd like to. Some of us will be feeding back in the chat and would invite you to use the chat function if you'd like to feed back to the writers. But in the programme that will be posted in the chat, the programme of today's evening, we have biographies of the writers with email addresses as well. So if you'd like to contact our writers directly, then please do that too. But however you do it, we'd absolutely love to hear your work. If you can hear strange noises in the background, I think it's my son and bath time. There are loads of thank yous, but first of all, I'd really like to thank Sian Evans, who's coordinated and sort of set in motion all of these public workshops. And also Mike Bernardine, lecturer in drama here, and Molly Farley, artistic director of Coast to Coast and an expert in the emerging form of Zoom readings. And it's been an absolutely mammoth task, an immensely complex and challenging logistical and artistic task to bring 20 different writers and produce these readings. I'd like to thank them so much, and also Timothy Lawrence Cave, who's provided amazing administrative support and also pulled together the programme. So Mike and Molly are going to run the evening, and they're going to introduce that in a moment. Also Mike might introduce his alumni ensemble and explain how it works. So I'm going to hand over to you, Mike, now, and I'll stay on camera before introducing the first writer.
Thank you, Ben. It's a great pleasure to be here for this third night, and I'm really pleased to have Molly by my side helping to make it all work. She's the tech whiz that is, as it were, hosting this, as well as helping guide the scenes and cast and work with the actors to produce what we're going to see tonight and what we've seen the last 2 nights. The core of what we do, what we've been doing here is an alumnus ensemble that we've been running for about 18 months, most of it, as you can imagine now, online, which means we've done an awful lot of reading online, and it sort of starts to feel like a comfortable medium. But we're joined tonight as well by a host of people that are not in the immediate UEA circle of acquaintance. We're very grateful for their participation as well. We've thoroughly enjoyed encountering all these 20 different scripts and their different styles, genres, tones, pace. And we hope you enjoy what you have to see and hear tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mike. So are we ready for the first first writer to introduce their work? So our first writer is Jennifer Collard, and her play is called Kris House. Jenny, do you want to say something?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jennifer. Oh, well, yeah, you knew that already because I was introduced. And also, I'm not Wulan. I am, although performing in my piece. Spoilers. So Kris House is about 2 sisters who have, an established company in Indonesia, a fashion brand rather, and they've come to New York now to kind of break through to the American or Western market, and in hopes to make it big and make their families proud and all that stuff. But they soon come to find out it's not as easy as it looks in the movies and all that stuff. The cliche, typical, but it's even more absurd than they had ever imagined it to be. As New York is, you come across a lot of outrageous personalities and quirky people. But that also teaches them that family isn't necessarily defined by blood, especially when a lot of your families are, family members are your biggest critiques. And the series, it discusses a lot of things about race and sexuality and gender and religion, and especially about generational expectations and pressures from parents onto their kids and how they affect them even until into adulthood. And yeah, this is the first 10-minute extract of my piece, and I hope you enjoy.
Marvellous, thank you. I think we'll start then.
Exterior, streets of New York, day. Sisters Sakar, 28, and Wulan, 24, are walking with a spring in their step. They're dressed very fashionably, eccentric, and bold. The skyscrapers stand tall surrounding them. The streets are bustling with life. Some people in a rush to get somewhere, some people engrossed in deep conversation, others, aka the tourists, are taking in the impressiveness of New York City.
Oh my gosh, crazy that we're walking to work, huh? Okay, not just working, but the opening of Kris House, holy fuck!
I know.
You should be more excited.
I am excited. I just don't want to get my hopes up.
Well, I'm screwed then, because my hopes have been up since the day we landed a month ago.
Okay. Have to admit, it's pretty freaking cool.
I know. In New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
People stare as they walk past the sisters.
All right, that's enough.
There's nothing we can do.
All right, Ulan. People are looking.
Okay, stop being so annoying. You want to join.
Sakar looks at her little sister, unsure. Wulan smiles and wriggles her eyebrows as if to egg her on. Sakar gives in.
Now you're in New York.
Sakar sings, arms up to the sky, embracing the embarrassment. Although the moment is short-lived, as a bird defecates right on the top of her head.
Ah!
Wulan looks at her, disgusted.
This is why I don't join in.
Interior, Kris House, main room, later. The boutique is decorated elegantly for the formal opening. A table with finger food on one side, a small bar on the other, but no one to serve to. Sakar paces back and forth, hair wet from washing off the bird dropping. Someone walks into the store and Sakar makes a beeline for them.
Welcome to Kris House. Would you like to look around? We have these beautiful fabrics that we work with, fabric called batik.
The person now looks distressed.
My sister and I are designers from Indonesia, and we're...
Anne turns around to walk out.
Yeah, you don't care. All right.
Yeah, because you look and sounded crazy.
She turns around to look at her team.
Okay, what to do? We need something that will bring customers in, lure them in here. But what?
Sakar.
She looks to the bar and barman, then at Philip, 24, a tall, handsome southern man.
Philip, how good are you making drinks? And do you like being shirtless?
Not great, and yes.
Great, we'll take it. It's your lucky day. You get to stand here,
She motions to a rack of clothing.
do nothing, and still get paid.
I was already doing that.
Hey, do you want to get paid?
She shoos the barman out.
Shh. Philip, shirt off now and to the bar.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone else?
She looks at the other people in her team. Wulan, Daniel, 28, Cleo, 21, City, 25, and for now, the barman.
Let's get you guys to walk or look around, yeah? Act like you're customers, you know.
Does that mean we can start drinking from the bar?
Yes. No, you're not actually customers.
But we're playing customers, and the customers drink.
Okay, fine. You can drink.
Just then, Wulan's phone rings.
What is it now?
Well, it's my phone.
She checks to see who called.
Okay, yeah, do not chill. It's Ma and yeah, they want to FaceTime.
Shit.
I'm gonna pick up.
Okay, places everyone. This is important. I need all of you guys in positions now.
The ringing keeps going.
Ready? Okay now, pick up.
Hi.
Interior, Sopan and Widya's house, Jakarta, continuous. The living room is grand, modern and marble, tacky and luxe. Sopan, 65, a small reserved man, sits next to his wife Widya, 58, who is the complete opposite.
Hello, how is everything?
Yes, how is the opening? Lots of people coming, huh?
Yes, everything is good, Ma. Many people here too.
Show us.
Interior, Kris house, main room, continuous. Sakar holds the phone and points to the camera to the staff pretending to be customers.
See? So many people.
Interior, Sopan and Widya's house, Jakarta, continuous. Both parents are not convinced.
It looks like only 3 people.
Hey, is that... Anak, why is there a shirtless man?
The camera quickly points back at the sisters' faces, which are visibly distressed.
You know, New York.
Yeah, you know how the Western world is.
Too liberal, I think. You only have 3 people there at your shop. You moved so far for what, huh? This is why you girls need a stable job like your brother. Sopan, tell them.
Aya?
Listen to your mother, girls.
Interior, Kris house, main room, continuous. Sakar and Wulan are getting more aggravated.
Someone important has just walked in.
Who?
Pierce Brosnan?
Show me. He's so handsome.
Oh, sorry, Ma. He's just left.
What? Does that mean we can keep talking?
Wulan looks at her sister annoyed.
We're too busy. Sorry, Mama. Love you, yeah. Bye.
She quickly hangs up the phone before they could say anything else.
That went on for way too long.
Huh? You're the one to talk. Pierce Brosnan, really?
I panicked.
You could have just said a customer.
You could have just not picked up. You know what they're like.
In the background, everyone else looks at them awkwardly.
Guys, we're still here. Can I go now, please?
Interior, Kris house, upstairs workshop, later. The workshop is quite empty. Mannequins stand naked. Rolls of batik are on the floor. Sakara is looking over designs and fabric samples when Wulan walks in.
You're right.
Sakar looks up.
Yeah,
Look, I'm really sorry.
me too.
They smile at each other.
Let's grab a drink.
I can't. There's so much that needs to be done, Wulan.
Ugh, come on. It's the end of the workday. Let's see the city. They say she's beautiful in the evening.
Sakar doesn't look convinced.
It's just, today was,
A shit show.
yeah, to put it nicely.
Even more reason why we deserve to get drunk.
He thinks.
Fine, let's go.
Exterior, Ferdinand's bar, outside seating area, night. The sisters are sitting in a small area outside laughing. The area is lit gentle and warm.
No. And then you swung from that tree.
Swung? Bitch, I flew.
Just then, Daniel comes up to the girls. He's dressed in clothes as if to go out clubbing, except he had a suitcase with him.
I knew it was you. I could hear y'all before I saw you.
Daniel!
Ferdinand's? Are you sure you're not locals?
The sisters laugh.
We just wanted to blow up some steam from today.
Yeah, that was awkward.
Damn, Daniel. Thanks for your candor.
Oh, girl, get used to it. You're in New York now. People here will tell you how it is. But I'm sorry.
No. You're right.
He looks at the sisters.
I tell you what, I feel a little responsible for what happened today.
What? Why?
Well, I spend most of the time looking at Philip.
Begin flashback. Interior, Kris house, main room, day. A series of shots. Philip is shirtless at the bar trying to make a cocktail. He's struggling. Daniel with Cleo by the cash register ogling him. Philip is shaking the cocktail mixer, but the lid isn't on tight enough and falls, pouring the content all over him. Daniel and Cleo go wide-eyed. End flashback. Exterior, Ferdinand's bar, outside seating area, night. Daniel is now sitting on his suitcase beside the girls.
Did you at least give the flyers out?
Daniel! I'm sorry!
Did you at least help with narrowing the batik choices?
Yes!
Begin flashback. Interior, Kris house, main room, day. Daniel has batik draped over Philip's shirtless body. Cleo and City observing closely. End flashback. Exterior, Ferdinand's bar, outside seating area, night.
No, really, I did actually pick them out. I've added them to the folio.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with sexualizing Philip.
Oh, you used him as eye candy at the opening today.
Also, where the hell were we when all this happened?
Anyway, because I feel responsible, I'm inviting you both out tonight. I have an event, I'll be performing, and it would be great to have you both come. And yes, there will be more alcohol.
Exterior, random street in New York, manhole, night. Sakar, Wulan, and Daniel walk up to the manhole in the middle of the pavement. The muffled sound of music can be heard, but it doesn't come from one specific area.
Okay, now what?
Daniel stomps his foot in a little rhythm on the manhole, then backs up. The manhole cover opens up automatically.
What the?
Daniel drops his suitcase down the hole.
Oh my god, Daniel!
Relax. It's not that deep. And there's always someone down there. Now, come on.
Wow, what a way to kick us off. Well done, Jennifer. That's a fantastic piece, so smart and funny and engaging, and I was laughing along and absolutely delighted with that. So charismatic piece of writing. Right, I just encourage you to put any thoughts or feedback you have in the chat, and while you do that, I'd like to introduce Mehmet, who's next. Mehmet, will you tell us a little bit about your piece?
Okay. This is my first incursion into film script writing, so it's a wonderful experience. It's the story is about identity theft that happened just after the Second World War. Where somebody steals the identity of a poet and then becomes a poet themselves. And the film starts 50 years later in southwest London in a suburb where the emigre poet is interviewed by a journalist, and slowly the identity theft and the circumstances are revealed. Anyway, that's in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mehmet. Let's get started.
Milena. Exterior, cityscape, day. Newsreel footage and other archive films of Warsaw at the end of the Second World War. A city in ruins, blackened, hardly a wall standing, followed by newsreel footage of the rebuilding of the city. Initially, no sound. then voiceover of young Milena, slow fading in of Chopin's Nocturne, Opus 9, number 1, during Milena's voiceover.
Worn, chipped, shot, lumps of concrete, bricks, mortar, plaster, wood and words thought or uttered, smelling of burnt debris, words whispered licentiously, words of love, sadness, joy, sadness, love. The rubble is a mosaic of greys, browns and blacks encoded like some genomic beast. Was in that devastation that I found you? Or was it that you found me? Hazy dream, my morning aftertaste of vodka, the underscoring stench of dead dogs, cats, rodents, of human cadaver. Someone's lover, someone's sibling, friend, family. It was in that devastation and stench of life that we touched. Bindweed emerging and the odd snowdrop. We, however, know that we will die twice. First in each other's anesthetized hearts. Second, when we are forgotten.
Exterior, a suburban street, southwest London, afternoon. It is sunny. A group of school children in school uniform are walking home. Their conversation is very animated. There is a lot of laughter and high-pitched interjections. Behind them, a row of semi-detached houses. Interior, Milena's suburban semi-detached house. Living dining room, afternoon. The extended reception room is slightly over-furnished. There are many trinkets, photographs, vases, clocks thoughtfully displayed on the well-polished wooden furniture. The house is regularly dusted and hoovered. The clutter is well-ordered and not irritating. Milena, an elderly woman in her mid-80s, is of tidy, elegant appearance. She is wearing an antique cameo brooch on her blue cardigan. She peeks through the lace curtains in anticipation. Milena moves away from the window and looks around the room as if checking if everything is all right. She moves to a display cabinet and changes slightly the angle of a framed photograph on top. It is a photograph of a young cavalry officer. She proceeds to her writing desk, which overlooks the rear garden. She closes some books, rearranges others, and opens a notebook so that the desk looks as if it has been used shortly before. Doorbell chimes. Milena walks towards the door. Internal, external, front door to Milena's house, continuous. Milena opens the door. Anna, a professional-looking besuited woman in her late 30s or 40s, is standing and smiling.
Anna Schwartz, the Literary Journal. I'm a little late.
Milena beckons her in. Interior, Milena's suburban semi-detached house, living dining room, continuous. Milena leads Anna into the living room and indicates the armchair next to the sofa. Anna smiles and sits down. There is a tray with a teapot, hot water jug, a milk jug, 2 cups and saucers, and a homemade cake on a coffee table in front of the sofa and armchair. Milena sits on the sofa and starts pouring tea. Anna looks around.
This is such a lovely house.
Milk, lemon or black?
Just a little milk and no sugar, thank you. Oh, I love this room. It's a little corner of Central Europe nestled in southwest London.
Milena pours out tea for herself and Anna. She hands a cup and saucer to Anna.
Would you like a slice of cake? My version of lemon and almond cake.
Anna smiles, staring with admiration at the cake.
Oh, yes, please. Oh, what a lovely smell of almond and lemon. Another talent of yours that the public is not aware of.
Anna takes out a mobile phone out of her handbag and places it on the coffee table, ready to record the conversation.
The public is not aware of many things, least of all my so-called talents. You are certainly not going to record this interview. That was not part of our agreement.
Anna is embarrassed and puts the phone back into her handbag and takes out a notebook and pencil. There is an awkward silence, and then they both settle into their seats, looking more comfortable while intermittently taking sips of tea and eating cake. Anna takes notes from time to time.
Thank you again for granting me this interview. Wow, this cake is absolutely delicious. It's pure poetry, pure gastronomic poetry.
Anyways, what do you want to know?
Everything, absolutely everything. Our readers want to know everything and anything about you. The last time you granted was 20 years ago, and that was to Figaro Littéraire.
And the French still do not know anything about our literature, let alone our country. But it was the Figaro. So, what is the everything and anything that your readers want to know?
Why don't we start from the beginning? You lived in a remote village, you started publishing in local provincial papers and magazines, your work got noticed, and you are invited to join the Writers' Union, come to the capital. So much happening in so little a time to someone so young.
And it was just after the war. A new era for the country, the whole world. You know, I was in my early 20s and this is the first time I had been to a city.
Cut to flashback. Exterior, a tram car on a wide boulevard. Morning. A cold, grey, autumnal afternoon in Warsaw. The approach of winter. A crowded tram car. Blank grey faces. The rhythmic rattling of the tram car. Milena, who is in her late 20s or early 30s, is sitting and looking out of the dirty tram window. She is holding a small, tattered suitcase on her lap and the canvas bag between her feet. There is no show of emotion on her face. Exterior, a market square, moments later. Old Town Marketplace, Warsaw. Much of the square has been rebuilt and several houses have scaffolding in front of them. The restoration is not complete, with several buildings currently going through final stages restoration. The skies are grey and so are the buildings. The only things of any colour are massive red and white banners proclaiming the eternal friendship and fraternity between the People's Republic of Poland and the Union of Socialist Soviet Republics. Massive image of Boleslav Beirut, the General Secretary of the United Workers' Party, shaking hands with Joseph Stalin. Tramcar stops at the southwest corner of the square. Milena alights, puts down her suitcase and canvas bag, and takes out a piece of paper and scrutinizes it. She looks around at the house numbers. She then heads towards a scaffolded building 100 meters away. She rings the doorbell in front door. The caretaker opens the door and looks at her.
You must be Milena.
The caretaker offers to take her suitcase and canvas bag, but she refuses and holds both tight. Interior, entrance and staircase continuous. He leads the way up the wooden stairs to the first floor landing and unlocks one of the doors. Milena stops with an air of puzzlement on her face.
That's Danuta, our fourth-floor novelist, who thinks that cabbage soup is the panacea to all ailments, from spots on the chin, and most probably elsewhere, to writer's block.
Interior, a bedsit in that building, continuous. They enter the room, which is sparsely furnished. There is a metal-framed bed in the corner and a small bedside table next to it. There is an old wooden wardrobe that looks quite fragile, and a chest of drawers next to it. There is also a heavy oak table with 2 chairs by the window and a thin and faded carpet in the centre of the room.
You have been given one of the largest rooms in the building. The Writers' Union and the party value highly the new generation of writers, especially those who come from the oppressed working and peasant classes.
Milena does not respond, just scrutinises the room and contents.
The Writers' Union has an agreement with the worker canteen at number 55. Breakfast, lunch and dinner are served there. Your meal vouchers are in the envelope on the table.
Thank you.
I will bring you your National Library membership card and your free travel pass tomorrow morning. Have a walk around the neighbourhood. There's still lots of reconstruction work, but the phoenix is rising out of the ashes.
He leaves the room. She walks up to the window and looks at the old town marketplace. She turns around and picks up her suitcase and bag and places them on the table and starts to unpack carefully. Cut to interior. Milena's suburban semi-detached house, living dining room, continuous.
It was so overwhelming that I actually wasn't excited. I just got down to business. I freelanced as much as I could, and I was given the job of resident writer at the local schools.
Anna indicates framed photograph of young officer in the mantelpiece.
I love that photograph of Ludwig. He looks so handsome in his Lancer's uniform.
That was when he graduated from the military academy. That was several years before we met.
Yours was a very happy marriage, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Sorry, your relationship with Ludwig was the stuff of great romances. It was legendary.
Very true. That is why we never got married. Marriage is a gender-oppressive institution. Love is not an institution. More cake?
No thanks, but that was delicious. How did you meet?
When my first collection was published, despite some bourgeois sentiments and register undertones, I did, however, have impeccable socio-political credentials. I came from oppressed working and peasant classes. In other words, I came from peasant stock. I had just published my first tome.
Cut to flashback. Exterior, a narrow street in the old town Warsaw, late autumn afternoon. Outside the single-fronted The People's Bookshop, it is a cold grey November afternoon. There is an orderly queue waiting on the pavement outside it. The second person in the queue is the young officer in the photograph. He is in civilian clothes. A stray dog crosses the road. A man comes out of the bookshop clutching a book wrapped in brown paper. The couple ahead of the queue go into the shop and the queue moves forward.
I remember the day I first met him, which was also the first time I signed books publicly.
Interior, bookshop, late autumn afternoon. A dusty bookshop with books lining the walls, some books displayed separately on tables. Above the front door there was a portrait of Karl Marx and another of Friedrich Engels. At the far end of the shop, young Milena is sitting at a desk piled high with her books. Behind her, a balding man wearing thick-rimmed glasses is standing and overseeing the signing. Ludwig takes the book but doesn't move. Milena looks up and sees that he's still there.
Well, would you like to go for a coffee when you are finished?
I realised that he was more apprehensive than I was, and that gave me a burst of confidence.
Is this how you always pick up young lady poets? Women poets. A lady poet sounds oppressively bourgeois. This is the language of class and gender repression. Or should that be oppression? You tell me.
He stared at me with those gorgeous, wild blue eyes. We did not end up having coffee. He took me to one of the few privately owned restaurants in the old market square. Anyway, there was a shortage of coffee. You could only get disgusting roast barley coffee substitute in those days.
Interior, Milena's suburban semi-detached house, living dining room continuous.
He ordered herring, which was unobtainable in any shop, and good, smooth vodka. We discussed the Russian novel, especially Dostoevsky. He ordered more vodka and grilled pork loin. I think he hoped to get me drunk. But as I said, I come from good peasant stock with indestructible liver and brains. We carried on with Dostoevsky, and the bill came to half his monthly salary. I came to the conclusion that he must either be mad or madly in love with me.
Vodka, herring, and Dostoevsky. That could be the title of a poetry collection. Maybe not. Many critics think that the turning point in your poetry was just after the war. They say that there was a dramatic change in both the form and content in your writing. You have, however, always rejected that.
Of course I have. There is change. We all change and develop. We only stop changing when we die. It was a gradual transformation, and it is frankly boring to talk about some critics. In fact, it is boring to talk about any critic.
Before we move on and talk about specific work and the recent publication of your collected poems, let's talk about your extraordinary venture into writing novels when you are in your mid-80s.
As long as I am not dead, I will write. I will write anything. Poems, novels, plays, notes to the milkman. I will write anything.
I've been told that you paint and draw.
I do. It keeps me busy, especially when I'm not writing. Keeps the brain ticking, and that is important. Otherwise, I'd be baking cakes half of my life. Anyway, back to literature.
Your literary output is remarkable. I mean, you've always been publishing something or other most of your life. There was, however, a long fallow period after the war.
Most artists have so-called fallow periods. There's nothing strange and mysterious about that.
Well done, Mehmet. What a rich, glorious, precise universe you evoke there, and such an engaging and intriguing voice in Milena. Thank you, and thank you, performers. Next up, we have Imogen Lea with her screenplay, Folie. Imogen, do you want to say a few things?
Yeah, so hello. This is my first feature film script. It's called Folie, and it's about the satanic panic of the 80s, but how it's manifesting right now in the UK. This story is about Julia, who believes that her husband is part of a satanic cult, and how this belief essentially affects the lives of everyone she knows. And I hope you enjoy it. So thank you very much.
Fantastic, thank you.
Interior, Julia's bedroom, night. Julia lies on the bed, streaked mascara, a messy bun, exhausted and drained. In the darkness, her face is lit by the street lamp outside her window. Shirley, 50s, her mother, is pacing at the foot of the bed.
I can't keep fighting like this. It's going to kill me.
When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears, Julia. Going to be examined is just the next step.
So, being poked and prodded like an animal.
Try not to think about the specifics. It's a necessary evil, Julia.
Shirley stops pacing and looks to her daughter. She almost recoils as Julia sits up and she sees her bedraggled appearance in closer detail.
You need to just set an example for them. Clean yourself up. You look a state. This isn't you, is it? Imagine if he saw you like this. He'd say you're an unfit mother. No, don't give him the satisfaction, Julia. You have to be strong for them. Appear strong, even when you don't feel it.
How can I be strong for them, protect them? I can't. Not when they're with him. What he's done, it's so... I can't make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's so hard. I trusted him. I loved him. And now I can't stop thinking this thing. And it's horrible. But do you think that... What if he only married me? What if he wanted to have children just so he could hurt them? God, I feel sick. How couldn't I see it?
Shirley adjusts the duvet around Julia, tucking her in.
Our love will protect them. And if the police won't do anything, we will just have to warn others of his vile ways ourselves.
Julia is about to protest, but is too weak and tired to
No,
argue.
shh. Get some rest. I'll say goodnight to the boys and I'll run you a bath, okay?
Shirley lays a hand on Julia's forehead, and Julia smiles and closes her eyes. Interior, hospital, day. Under fluorescent lighting, a large poster reads, "Your health is our priority." Julia is now spotless and smartly dressed. She faces the sexual offences examiner, who looks young and uncomfortable as their white knuckles clutch a clipboard.
The examination is really a top-to-toe affair. I'll be looking for any injuries, cuts and bruises, and making notes about their appearance, location, that sort of thing.
Good, that's good.
I'll have to take a number of samples, okay? Using these cotton swabs here.
The doctor produces a swab from their pocket and hands it to Julia.
You can have a look at this, just to explain it.
Julia's eyes light up and she takes it quickly.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Could you just give me a second?
Julia scribbles around in her pocket and takes out a notepad and pen. She nods at the doctor to continue.
I'll be swabbing the skin and any areas possibly involved in the assault, the mouth, genital area, anus. Do you consent to blood samples being taken? You had urine samples collected when you arrived.
Julia nods sternly, taking notes of all the procedures.
If you like, if it helps, I can...
The doctor points to the corner of the room out of sight. Concern flashes across Julia's face. She snaps back, regaining her cool.
No, I can. I'd rather explain myself. Please, can we can start, yes?
Sorry, we'll try and get through this as quickly and smoothly as possible. I need to let you know that any samples taken will be labelled, stored, and can be used in a court as evidence.
Good. That's why we're here, so we can get going then.
Yes, sorry. Would you like to be present, or I can arrange for a crisis worker or any other support?
No, he needs me.
Of course. Just one more thing. Would you like me to use medical terminology? Some prefer to use words that they use at home, like bottom, botty, willy, that sort of thing.
Bottom is fine.
Okay, then if you'd like to follow me.
Thank you. Charlie?
Julia calls over to the corner of the room, and Charlie, her 6-year-old son, runs into view and stands next to her. She grabs his hand and holds it tightly.
Ready? Okay, follow me.
We follow them out of the room, Charlie holding tight to his mother's hand and looking up at her, unsure. Interior, courtroom, day. More fluorescent lights, this time beating down on the seemingly endless wooden panelled walls of the courtroom. Julia adjusts her skirt as she sits behind her barrister. She grabs a pen from the desk in front of her and holds it in her lap, nervously twisting the nib in and out. Judge Rivers adjusts her papers and leans forward at the bench. She holds everyone's attention.
This is a calamitous case.
Julia smiles weakly at the judge, continuing to twist the pen.
The mother has made very serious allegations against the father. The burden of proof rests with her. I have to be satisfied on the balance of probabilities that this father has abused his sons, as the mother alleges. There is nothing to corroborate the disclosures she claims she heard, and she made no notes at the time of the disclosures.
Julia visibly bristles. She twists the pen more forcefully.
The issue I have to decide is whether the evidence of abuse is reliable. In my judgment, it is not. There is a considerable likelihood that the mother claims to have heard that which she wanted to hear and has put her own interpretation on things said. I cannot safely rely on her account. Standing as it does now, I am not persuaded that the father did behave in the manner that the mother alleges. I therefore do not make the finding of abuse that she urges me to make.
Julia looks down at her hands, covered in dark ink, as she clutches the broken pen. Interior. Charlie's classroom, day. The class of children are filing out into the playground, zipping up coats, swapping their break time snacks. The last child to leave shuts the door behind them. The classroom falls silent. Slowly, a chair moves itself out from under its desk. Charlie crawls out from his hiding spot. He runs over to a drawer with his name on it and opens it. Exterior, hallway, day. We can hear children playing in the distance. Charlie moves along a wall lined with coat hooks, where school bags hang. He clutches a bundle of letters. Slowly, he opens each bag and slips a letter inside. Interior, kitchen, day. A tap shoots hot water into a washing up bowl. A fridge is covered in proudly displayed children's drawings and doodles. Julia's hands rest in the soapy water in the kitchen. The last shadows of ink still stain her fingers. Outside, Charlie and his little brother Luke, wrapped up in their winter coats and mittens, are playing with sticks and fallen leaves on the crisp grass. The sound of a car pulling up the driveway grabs Julia's attention. An engine cuts out and a door slams. She runs out of the kitchen. Exterior, porch, day. On the driveway, a school mum locks her car. Julia pushes open the front door.
Boys, come inside. Now. Right now.
Charlie drops the stick he was holding and makes Luke do the same. Luke wails in protest as he's dragged towards the front door. Once over the threshold, Julia slams the door shut and locks it. Interior, porch, day. Charlie and Luke pause to take off their shoes, but Julia stops them.
No, good boys, but forget that. Charlie, get you and your brother a snack, okay? And stay in there.
Luke waddles into the kitchen, but Charlie pauses, looking fearfully to his mother.
It's okay. My brave boy. Go on. You take care of your brother now.
Charlie turns and closes the kitchen door behind him, a fist pounding on the front door.
Julia! Julia, I need to speak with you.
Julia stands facing the door, shaking.
Now isn't a good time.
Open this door. I have to speak.
You're scaring my children. Please.
Julia is interrupted by the letterbox opening and a sheet of paper being shoved through.
About this.
Julia smooths out the crumpled paper. It's the letter that she gave Charlie to distribute at school.
Please. Please open the door.
Julia takes a breath. The woman sounds more calm. She cautiously opens the door. The school mum stands there, flustered and breathing deeply.
My son. He gave this to me.
I see. Right.
It was in his bag when he got home. He says he didn't put it in there and it wasn't from Miss Marshall. Said that your son put it in there.
Yes, I wrote it and I asked Charlie to do that.
Excuse me?
I asked my son to hand them out. He wanted to help his friends. It's important that you all know.
No.
She grabs the letter and reads.
No, what? This? Signs of satanic ritual abuse in children, bedwetting, nightmares, fear of dark. Surely this is some kind of joke. This describes every kid on the planet.
That's what I thought, but with a little research, it all became so clear.
Whatever is happening here, just keep my children out of it. You had no right. All this stuff is doing nothing but it's just scaring people, all right?
They should be scared.
Excuse me?
This abuse is happening. It is, and it's happening here. To our innocent babies, right under our noses.
Julia steps towards the enraged woman who looks like she may be sick.
You should speak to your son. Make sure he's safe around your husband.
She thrusts the letter at Julia.
My husband? He would never. You're insane.
Please, keep it. You need to know the signs.
You seriously need help.
The mum steps backwards away from the house and stumbles. She rummages in her handbag for her car keys as she shuffles further away.
Just keep your son away from mine. Okay?
My son is telling the truth. Children don't lie.
Julia rushes after her and follows her halfway down the drive before she's stopped by a tugging on the hem of her cardigan. Charlie's tear-streaked face looks up at her, lip quivering. Julia bends down to wipe his cheeks and turns to see the mother staring at her from inside her car. She reverses away as fast as she can. Julia looks back towards the house where her mother Shirley stands in the porch, arms folded. Interior, kitchen, day. Charlie and Luke sit on a playmat, Charlie patiently helping his little brother stack wooden blocks. Julia watches them from the breakfast bar where she sips a coffee.
She just doesn't understand what we're trying to do.
I know. Yes, I know.
Shirley closes the fridge and smiles as she adjusts one of her grandchildren's paintings with a magnet in the shape of a crucifix. He sits opposite Julia, who isn't really listening.
Julia, you know that it was the right thing to do.
She was so terrified. Not because of what he did. She was scared of me and what we did. And like she didn't or couldn't believe me. I don't.
Well, it can be hard for people to see the truth.
Yeah, yes, I understand. But I'm not sure that this was the right way.
No, Julia. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt them.
He looks at the children playing.
Do you know how much they've been through? The damage, the trauma.
Please.
You wouldn't want that to happen to another innocent child, would you?
Of course not.
Well, that's why we're doing this. It's all for them.
Exterior, school, hallway, day. Julia straightens a bent corner and pushes a thumbtack hard into a child's painting on a display board. She stands back to view the splodgy house and wonky family outside of it. Interior, headmaster's office, day.
So, as you can imagine, I wanted to get this sorted with as little upset as possible.
Julia smooths down the front of her skirt and sits up straight. The headmaster smiles weakly from the other side of his large, untidy office.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me to come and speak to you.
Yes, right. So the thing is, I've had a number of concerned parents contact me, Julia. As you know, we have a duty of care founded in a sense of community, a community of parents who put their trust in us to produce that care. And well, some feel that sense of community has been violated.
Violated? It's the children who...
Now, I'm not suggesting you intended to cause upset, but you can't circulate documents without at least form teacher approval. I mean, even a birthday invitation usually goes through a member of staff. But a document of this nature...
Yes.
Yes, a document of this nature has no place in being distributed at all. The so-called signs you're warning parents to look out for, these markers of abuse, as someone who has worked with children for several decades, well, these are commonplace and enough to unnecessarily terrify our parents. How are things, Julia, at home?
I don't see why do you ask?
Because these accusations you're making against your ex-husband...
I make no accusations in that letter. He's no longer a part of our lives, or he won't be soon.
Yes, but you imply, what do you
Parents
imply?
need to know what might have been happening.
I don't follow.
If any child has been to his house, gone back from school with Charlie, they could be a risk, couldn't they?
We take any accusations of abuse very seriously, Julia. And if you do suspect anything has been happening...
I know it has.
Then you should be speaking to the police. But abuse of the nature you're describing, this satanic ritual abuse, it is problematic, Julia.
What do you mean problematic? The terrible systematic abuse of children all over the country, it's everywhere. That's problematic.
The headmaster sits on the desk. Julia leans back, trying to increase the distance between them.
I'm going to make a recommendation for you to speak to one of the counsellors we have here at the school. See if they can't alleviate some of your concerns.
It's not me who needs help. My sons are the ones who need protection.
I assure you, Julia, that your children are perfectly safe at this school, and I dare say are safe in the company of their father. But I do suggest that we speak to someone...
How could you possibly know that? So naive, how dare you?
Mrs. Harvey, please. I apologise if I've spoken out of turn, but I have the well-being of other children in our care to consider. And we are aware of your recent appearances in court, and we understand how difficult it must have been for you to not have reached the outcome you hoped for.
The judge was a criminal. I've been doing research into them. Very dark stuff. Probably just as bent as he was.
Now, please, Julia, please.
Julia opens the door, picking up her bags, but stops and turns to the headmaster.
How long have you been here? Just a few years. Unusual, isn't it? Male head teacher. Such young children.
The headmaster steps back.
I think it's best that you go home, Julia.
You have a son, don't you? Sweet boy, about Charlie's age?
The headmaster quickly shuts the door between them. Julia stares at the door right in front of her face and turns sharply away. She approaches the opposite wall made up entirely of pigeonholes. Coolly, Julia puts her coat on, opens her handbag. She pulls out a stack of her letters.
Wow, Imi, great work. So powerful and gripping, and upsetting and unsettling as well. Well done. And again, what amazing performances. Fantastic. Before I move on to our next writer, I just call your attention to the fact that we have the program is in the chat, the program for the writers program, but also the program detailing the performers in each piece as well. So do have a look at that. Fantastic. Okay, our next writer is Yu Wong. And Yu, do you want to tell us, say a few words?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Yu Ching. My piece is a play about crimes and psychology. And in this short extract, the protagonist, Ryan, visits the prison for the very first time because he has just signed up for a position to work there. And a senior officer called Jim shows him around. While he's introducing the prison to Ryan, an emergency occurs at one of the prison wings. So let's see what's going to happen. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Yu Ching. Let's see what happens.
Interior, prison registration office, day. Jim, 40, pulls a chair and sits across from Ryan, 25. He clears his throat and gives Ryan a serious look.
You've worked at any prison before?
No.
Why are you here then?
Well, I grew up in a neighbourhood close to the local prison. I saw lots of people doing weird stuff around the area and being taken away to prison. I guess I've always been curious.
Jim gives Ryan a long, intense gaze.
All right. I'll give you a brief introduction of this prison. There are 8 wings in total, and each has 4 landings. If you just look towards this side of the building through the glass door here, you'll see safety nets installed on each landing to prevent the prisoners from jumping off their floor and killing themselves.
Jim points at the glass door and Ryan cranes forward to take a look.
And this prison is home to 800 prisoners who are in here for various crimes.
Jim counts his fingers.
For example, robberies, burglaries, drug possession, car crimes, attempted murder, and many more, meaning that you should expect to see all kinds of fellas here. We have juveniles, immigrants, repeat offenders, drug dealers, coming from over 30 countries, many of whom speak very little English. It's not an easy job, but our daily task is to patrol the cells and keep everything running in order. Every prison officer has a walkie-talkie, and there is an alarm at every wing informing us of emergencies. If anything goes wrong, just press the...
Just as Jim points at the alarm system, the alarm goes off.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Jim takes out his walkie-talkie.
Wing G, urgent assistance required on Wing G. The prisoners are smashing up the cells on all 4 landings.
Roger, I'm coming from security checks.
Ryan looks shocked. Jim gets up and adjusts his shirt in a hurry, then turns to Ryan.
I'll be honest with you. We are seriously understaffed here, and this prison is overcrowded, so we have to deal with this kind of emergency all the time. You'll soon get used to this. Come on, follow me to the wing.
Jim sprints out of the room. Ryan follows him and exits. Interior, prison wing G, day. A noisy uproar. People are shouting, screaming, and banging their cell doors. Will, 34, living on the top landing, shouts at the windows of the people living on the lower landings.
Come on, boys, bring it on tonight. We're gonna smash up this wing. Have you all got your table legs ready?
Some prisoners keep punching and breaking the tables, while some others keep banging the table legs against their cell doors.
We're going to tear down this crummy, godforsaken place. Okay, let's do a countdown. And when I say go, you boys start smashing up the toilets. As soon as you hear the toilets, start smashing up yours.
Yes!
Smash up
Let's smash up
this
the
wing.
wing!
10, 9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go!
The prisoners on all 4 landings start smashing up their toilets, then the sinks and the tables and the cupboards.
Don't let me down, son. Don't let me down. Smash up the lights and the glass flaps in the doors too.
Lots of cheering and shouting, a massive amount of chaos and commotion. Water spills out from the toilets and forms a waterfall, pouring from the top landing to the bottom. Glasses and porcelain crack and splinter into many little pieces and float in the toilet water running on the ground. The prisoners cheer and scream while they're shattering everything in their cells.
Listen! Whoever's not doing this should be careful tomorrow morning. Especially you 2 new boys on the first landing. I have high hopes in you. I'm watching and listening. Don't let me down, my boys.
Dash rips off the table leg in his cell and starts smashing up the table and the cupboard. Joe, 29, in the same cell, is reading a book on the bottom bunk bed, unaffected by the chaos.
That's the spirit. Keep going, boys.
Get up and join us, Joe.
Joe shoots Dash a nonchalant look.
You guys are going to get bent up.
Who cares? Fuck all these prison officers.
Joe ignores Dash and picks up his book to start reading again. Dash walks over to his bunk and takes out a small mirror. He opens the flap in the door and holds it out through the tiny gap to see what other people are doing outside.
See? Dexter in the opposite cell is sitting firing to his pillow while you're sitting here doing nothing. Get off your ass and join in the riots.
No, I don't want to get involved in this madness.
You are such a big coward. How about that? My mate smuggled in some weed yesterday. I got hold of them while everybody flocked to watch Will and Chuck fighting each other in the exercise yard. I'd hate to smash up the rest of that table. If you do it, I'll let you have some of my stuff.
Dash pulls up the tip of his blanket to reveal the weed he hides on his bed.
Come on, smash up the final bit of this table.
Dash passes the table leg to Joe. Joe pauses his reading and looks up at him hesitantly. Noises of smashing and screaming continue on the wing. Water splashes everywhere.
Come on!
Dash motions to Joe. Joe grabs the table leg and gets up slowly. Jim and Ryan open the gate of the wing and enter. They squelch across the landing floor, covered in water, as the other prison officers rush in. Jim shakes his head at the sight of the chaos.
Oh, what a nightmare. Back in your cells, guys. Back in your cells now.
Jim speaks into his walkie-talkie.
Please stand by, officers. We'll have to bend these guys up. Let's bring in the Mufti squad now.
A group of prison officers in full riot gear, Mufti, minimum use of force, tactical intervention, appear at the gate shortly. Ryan looks around, petrified at the chaotic scene. Joe throws the table leg back to Dash, but drops it accidentally as he trembles in fear.
Make sure you tell him it has nothing to do with me, Dash. I didn't participate in this. Make sure you tell him it has nothing to do with me.
Dash casts a disdainful look at Joe.
I can't believe you killed a man before. Look how scared you are.
Dash picks up the wet table leg and wipes it on his shirt. He takes out the small mirror and looks out through the flap in the door again. The Mufti squad march in and approach the first landing.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go!
The Mufti squad kick the cell door open and lunge at the prisoner inside. A loud, piercing scream from the prisoner. Stomping of the officer's boots and a thud as the prisoner is pressed onto the wall by force. Dash keeps peering through the flap.
There are 8 of them to get, Dexter.
The Mufti squad go in at another prisoner in another cell. Non-stop sounds of shouting, struggling, crashing and banging of the walls and doors.
Get off me! Ah!
Groaning and shouting continue. The Mufti squad come to Dash and Joe's cell. The door is flung open.
Stand by the back walls! Stand by the back walls!
Cool. All right.
Dash raises his arms and retreats to the back walls.
I didn't participate in this. It's just him.
Joe points at Dash. Dash rolls his eyes.
Right. You didn't have the balls to do it.
The Mufti squad lunge at Dash and squash him into the corner of the cell before he finishes his sentence.
Ouch!
Put your hands up. Stop struggling.
The Mufti squad make Dash sit on the floor and stretch his arms until they're firmly pressed under their riot shields. Dash squirms and struggles as his mouth is filled with water flowing from the broken toilet and sink.
Ah, ouch!
Stop struggling!
Get off me!
The Mufti Squad bend Dash's wrists and arms. Dash screams in pain. They drag him out of his cell. Joe watches on his bunk in silence.
Bring him to the segregation unit.
The Mufti Squad carries Dash across the landing and exit the wing. Wild screaming and shouting from all 4 landings. Ryan stares at the wing in shock.
Let's come and have a look at the cell.
Jim approaches Joe and Dash's cell. Ryan sees porcelain, dirt, and water flowing all over the place in the smashed up cell. Jim speaks to his walkie-talkie.
Guys in control room, I'm on the 2s of Wing G, number 27. Please mark the cell as out of use.
Jim turns to Joe, who is sitting on his bunk, still holding his book and looking at the chaos in shock.
You, come out. We'll move you to another cell, temporarily.
Joe gets up from his bunk slowly and wades through the flooded cell. He walks past Ryan, and the 2 of them exchange a quick look at each other. Ryan watches Joe walk out to the landing, and then he's quickly escorted by another prison officer leading him out of the wing.
Who's that guy?
Joe Martin. He came in for manslaughter. He's just served his 2nd year here.
Well done, Yu Ching. I really enjoyed that. Such an appealing sense of energy and life and conflict in this detailed and well-realised world. Fantastic. Well done. So, moving on now to Sam Gillett. Sam, do you want to say a few things?
Yeah, sure. So this is an extract from Serenity, which is a screenplay I'm writing about a middle-aged acupuncturist called Sasha, who is struck by sudden existential dread, spirals into heavier and heavier alcoholism, falls madly in love with one of her clients, a young actress called Lettuce, and eventually finds herself outed on Twitter as an erratic drunk, unfit for work. And hopefully it's quite funny too. And the extract, just to be clear, is a dream sequence after one of Sasha's benders, and she's sort of hazily remembering testimonial footage recorded for her clinic. So yeah, take it away, guys.
Fabulous. Thank you, Sam.
Interior. Serenity Medica Treatment Room. Attic. Drunken fever dream. Jagged splicing together of testimonials. An airy ambient piano line accompanies the chaotic footage. A historical-looking chair is positioned center frame, backdrop by shelves of mystical trinkets. Amidst this quartz, Buddhas and bonsai trees. On tape, Claire, 40s, bright-eyed, puppyish, estuary. Deborah, 50s, melancholy, wistful, posh. Judy, 80s, gentle, kind eyes, posh. Lettuce, 20s, spacey, ethereal, very posh.
Hello, I'm Claire.
Deborah.
Judy.
My name's Lettuce.
I first started coming to see Sasha at Serenity. Oh, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago?
She's cultivated an atmosphere which lends itself entirely to relaxation.
I was sceptical at first. I didn't like the idea of the needles sticking out of me like a sort of fleshy porcupine.
Experienced such a profound cleansing.
All seemed a bit far-fetched to me.
I'd been struggling with a persistently blocked crown chakra for about a year, but after my 10th session, I could feel it just suddenly unfurl.
Oh, I first came to Sasha with a host of complaints.
Such a relief. These incredible currents tingling up my spine.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
An actually visceral sense of God. This kind of benevolent guardian to me.
Irritable bowel syndrome.
Amazing.
The one thing that made it really, pretty near impossible for me to do anything was my allergy to dust.
My bouts of worry were getting the better of me.
Dust is just everywhere, isn't it? Dust in your clothes.
I used to have a fear of swans.
Ugh, dust in the air.
Herons, geese, most water birds.
We're made of it.
Ducklings I could cope with.
Dust is dead skin.
Not their mothers, though.
So in a way,
still try to avoid the rivers best I can, but I can hold my own beside the local ponds.
I'd become allergic to myself.
It's a sad thing to come to terms with. As you get older, you do more or less have to resign yourself to the fact that pain, close to intolerable pain, really is just unavoidable. For so long, I couldn't quite get over what felt like a cosmic injustice. Such suffering. Every day, I think as much as anything, the work that I've been doing with Sasha has helped me not to hope that I can just magically do away with it all, but rather make peace with my condition. The creaking and aching, it's all very much still there, and of course will be until I'm gone, I suppose. But it doesn't bother me so much. I feel like I might be beginning to mentally rise above it.
What really drew me to her was the fact that she approaches her work holistically. So a half-hour consultation always comes before the treatment itself. She's not just an acupuncturist. She's a dietitian, a counsellor, a mother, and a lover.
Slowly, I am beginning to feel myself returning to some kind of sanity. I've no idea how it works.
She explained to me that all of the cells in my body were inflamed. And so the slightest bit of provocation was tipping me over into...
Oh, when I think of how I was, struggled to leave the house.
A full-blown anaphylaxis.
Super glue myself to the bed sheets.
Face was all puffed up, like Sylvester Stallone.
To prise them off with a bread knife.
She unleashed my kundalini.
Ruined my pyjamas.
Hives under my armpits.
Sorry, what was that?
Crotch, like a forest fire.
Oh yes, I see. That's another thing. I've got so much gunk in my left ear that I hear in a different key signature. Yes? What's a C major in my right is a B minor in my left. I quite like it though. It's sort of jazzy.
Well, I was in and out of A&E like a yo-yo. First name basis with a few of the junior doctors, just as well, because one of them was absolutely gorge. But the number of saline drips, oh, too many to count. Look, I've even got track marks.
I do love jazz.
Anyway, Sasha, God bless her, had a thorough look at me. And as it turns out, all I needed to do was stop eating tomatoes.
Mingus?
Without Sasha, I wouldn't much see the point in carrying on.
Herbie Hancock?
She saved my life.
Salvaged my marriage.
Sex drive rocketed to the moon.
Frank Sinatra.
Truly a miracle.
Extraordinary woman.
A hun to kingdom come.
If I hadn't come to see her...
Well, as I've already said...
I'd be dead.
Single.
Thelonious Monk.
Hopeless.
She nourishes me.
I need her.
She's all I've got.
Cut 2. Interior overhead Sasha's bed. Second floor, night. The sound of the final 4 pieces of testimonial footage continue to echo loopily, hauntingly around Sasha, 40s, who lies naked, arms splayed out on her king-size futon. Scented candles cast a flickering light onto her body. She hiccups sadly through the racket, seeming to absorb the pain of her clients. As the frame widens, we begin to see needles around her wrists and ankles, Christ-like. She begins to wail in a self-pitying kind of a way. The clamour crescendos until we cut to interior, Sasha's bathroom, second floor, morning. A minimalist marble affair. Sasha stands pallid in a sheet white nightie. A miserable-looking ghost haunts her in the mirror. She lingers on it for a while, steps in to have a closer look, furrows her brow at it disbelievingly. Her ghoulish reflection doesn't move, remains grisly deadpan, staring back at her. Deeply creeped out, with some effort, she manages to heave herself into the shower. Cut to interior, Sasha's shower, second floor, morning. Steaming water streams down on Sasha, who is clutching onto her stomach with one hand, trying to hug herself better with the other. She pivots around ploddingly to face the temperature knob. In defiance of her hangover, turns it all the way to cold. The steam vanishes. Sasha's shoulders tense as she hyperventilates. Cut to interior, Sasha's bathroom, second floor, morning. Sasha claps moisturizing cream between her palms, applies to her cold, stinging cheeks. Cut to Sasha stands with her eyes closed in a mist of moisturizing spray. She struggles to stifle a cough and begins to splutter. We watch Sasha glumly looking down as she appears to be directing a hairdryer towards her pubic hair. She looks into the mirror furtively before turning off the hairdryer. Interior, Sasha's bedroom, second floor, morning. Sasha, with a towel wrapped around her body, ritualistically waves a burning stick of Palo Santo around her shadowy bedroom. Cut to Sasha shakes drops of frankincense above an oil burner. The vapor swirls. Sasha smiles, relishing the smell. Cut to Sasha sits on a trunk at the foot of her bed, huffing air rhythmically, filling her blood full of the oxygen before holding her breath. We remain on Sasha's composed face. Finally, she caves, gasps for air. And we cut to interior, Sasha's kitchen, first floor, morning. Nicholas, 40s, Sasha's husband, is sitting at the kitchen table. Remnants of Sasha's solo debauch last night lie scattered about before him. 2 empty bottles of wine, glass, a brimming ashtray, and a smashed nibbles bowl spilling pistachio shells. But Nicholas seems unbothered by the mess, immersed in a newspaper, a mug of steaming coffee gripped steadily in his hand. His eyes fleetingly acknowledge Sasha, who stands at the foot of the stairs.
Morning.
Thought you were gone another day.
No, last one got cancelled.
Sasha approaches Nick, gives him a sheepish peck on the cheek as he smiles, turns his head and nestles it against her tummy tenderly. The moment passes and he is back to reading the newspaper.
A few friends came over.
Oh yeah?
Sasha lingers on Nick, trying to suss whether his terseness is passive-aggressive or indifferent.
Did you have a nice time?
Oh, yes.
Sasha shamefacedly sweeps the bits of broken glass with her hands. Nick blasely lifts his newspaper to make way for her. Sasha cups the collected broken glass in her hand.
Just cardboard box factories, was it all?
Oh, no. Packaging, too.
Right.
Yeah, one of them in particular, just absolutely extraordinary.
Really?
As Sasha bins the broken glass, Nick looks up from his newspaper longingly.
Yeah. You visit a place like that, and a part of you just dies inside, because you know you'll just never be able to afford that level of machinery. I mean, their product processing, I'd never seen anything like it. Like an organism, living and breathing.
Gosh.
Vision inspection systems, multi-flavor loading, conveyor belts like Tokyo flyovers, dodging and weaving and siphoning off produce. Oh, I couldn't believe my eyes.
And so, do you think you'd like to expand out into packaging things?
Maybe one day.
Nicholas smiles dreamily at Sasha, who is now back at the table rounding up the rest of the clutter. She smiles back at Nick.
Oh, I forgot to say, there's a man.
Sorry?
Outside. He's waiting for you.
Cut to interior. Front door, staircase, ground floor, first floor, morning. Sasha, mortified, and John, 40s, a little anxious, climb the staircase towards the treatment room in the attic.
I'm so sorry about having to.
On the way up, they pass the kitchen on the first floor. John waves to acknowledge Nick, who doesn't respond, only turns a page of the newspaper.
Can I get you a tea? We've got matcha, cookie cha, bancha, moo.
Oh, don't worry. Cut to interior Serenity Medica treatment room, day. The kitsch ambient piano returns. Trails of incense fill the air. John lies supine on a massage bed, his arms uncomfortably hanging over the side. Sasha's quivering hand is trying to pick up a needle. It keeps slipping from her fingers.
A bit nerve-wracking, this, actually.
Yes, always is your first time.
They don't hurt much, do they?
Just a slight prick.
Sasha, having managed to get a hold of the needle, gently rocks John's head so that it's facing upward. She holds the needle poised above John's forehead, desperately willing her grip to steady.
And close your eyes for me, please.
Wonderful, wonderful. So great to see Sasha. I've known this script for a little while, and it's fantastic to see her in this amazing central character. And so delicious and funny and engaging, this introduction to her and her world. And there's something about the zoom, the framing of each shot of that zoom, especially of Sasha, that felt very cinematic. I really was beginning to feel like, oh, I can see what this is going to look like. Fantastic work, Sam. Let's move on now to, and last but not least, to Rosa Cooper-Davies. Rosa, do you want to say something?
Hey everybody, this is an extract from my dissertation. It's about a little boy called Kaylo. It's set in a world where children have superpowers sometimes. Some children have superpowers, but the ones that are in this story have kind of crap superpowers. So thanks in advance to the actors, and I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Rosa.
Kaylo. Interior, Kaylo's bedroom. Kaylo, 11, is dressed in Batman pajamas, lies asleep on his back. His eyes open as he hears the sound of his name being called.
Up you get, Kaylo. Big day today.
He had forgotten. The memory of what he's going to have to do today shows on his face. Discomfort. Interior, family kitchen. Kaylo, now dressed in his new school uniform, clatters through the room and sits at a round table. The background sound of local radio and eggs frying fills the kitchen. He's unusually tidy for a child his age, but he still hasn't managed to work out how to do his school tie, which hangs over his shoulders. His mother, Kaylo, early 40s, stands at the cooker, plating up breakfast.
Morning, love.
Morning, Mum.
Just this once, I thought a big breakfast before school set you up for the first day.
Kaylo takes a sip of the juice and grimaces. It's the kind he hates, with bits.
It's wrong.
What's wrong, sweetheart?
The juice. It has the bits in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have picked up the wrong carton at the shop.
Kaylo, looking visibly panicked, launches into his worry.
I can't start a big day with wrong juice. Everything will go wrong, or I'll say something stupid and everyone will laugh at me, and then I won't have any friends at big school.
A faint blue outline appears around him, glowing brighter the more panicked and distressed he gets. Kaylo has noticed and rushes to the table, putting a hand on his shoulder through the blue glow.
Mum, it's happening again.
Okay, you ready for this? When you come back, try something different this time around.
Her words are cut off by the blue light around Kaylo becoming brighter. There is a hissing sound like a puncture, and then, as the sound of it being plugged up, Kaylo vanishes, leaving his mum crouched beside Kaylo's chair and wringing her hands anxiously.
Well, I should have seen that coming.
Interior, Kaylo's bedroom. Again, we see Kaylo lying asleep. He wakes with a start as his eyes open, and it's clear that he's just come from the table. The blue light glows around his irises for a second. He sits up when he hears his mum's voice.
Up you get, Kaylo. Big day today.
Kaylo sits up, looking frustrated at the prospect of doing the whole routine of getting ready for school again. This time, we see him pulling on the last of his uniform before he goes downstairs and into the kitchen with much less bounce this time. Interior, family kitchen. Again, the sound of cooking eggs and the radio in the background.
Morning, Mum. What's for breakfast?
Eggs. Thought you should have a cooked breakfast on a big day like today, starting big school and everything.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll get something to drink.
He pointedly walks past the already poured glass of juice in the side. He gets a clean glass from the dishwasher and heads to the fridge. Once opened, he sighs with relief, as it is the right kind of milk, green top, pours himself a glass and takes a drink.
Oh, that's better
Better?
than last time. It happened again.
How many times round have you been now?
This is just the second time.
Kim Lo puts his breakfast on the table and comes to put a comforting arm around him.
I'm sorry this is happening to you, sweetheart. They should be able to help you get more control of it at the new school, though. Oh, you're getting so grown up, and you need to be able to work out how this jumping back works.
I know, Mum. God.
And that's the sort of thing that tells me you really are just an 11-year-old boy.
He ruffles his hair, leaving him with his glasses askew.
Get off! Mum, you're so embarrassing.
Kaylo is smiling nonetheless and hugs his mum.
I'm going to try. I wonder what the other kids can do.
We've talked about this. You need to keep this jumping thing to yourself and the other kids in the unit. The other kids in the rest of the school don't have abilities. They might not understand and might feel frightened, but you're not a monster or anything like that. You're just wired up differently. All the same wires, just going in a different order to most people.
And my wires mean I can jump back.
That's right.
What if one of the kids is wired like a monster?
Kim Lo looks stumped. She hadn't expected this. She struggles for a moment.
Nobody's really a monster. Everyone needs the same things. We all need somewhere to live and food to eat and people to love us. When you get all that, it's impossible to be a monster, no matter how you're wired.
She hugs him again. Cut to interior car. Inside the car, Kaylo and his mum pull up to the school gates. A sign reads Windermere Road Academy, and much smaller underneath, as though it's trying not to be seen, home of the CWSA unit. CWSA stands for Children with Special Abilities.
You ready? Got everything you need?
Yeah. Pencil case with pencils in it, notebook, water, lunchbox with lunch in it, colouring book.
Okie dokie. Off you go then, kiddo.
Kaylo.
Sorry. Off you go then, Kaylo.
He doesn't move out of the passenger seat, jaw clenched, looking at his feet.
You want me to walk with you to the entrance?
Kaylo squirms.
Yes.
Exterior car, schoolyard. Kaylo puts on his oversized backpack and pulls up the hood of his parka.
Okay, we're off.
She takes his hand and walks him through the schoolyard. Around them, the chaos you would expect surrounds them. Some kids with a football play nearby, groups of people ignoring them, and then some groups of teenagers pointing and laughing.
Mum, people are looking.
Don't be silly. There's your form teacher.
She points across the schoolyard as they walk towards Mr. Glebe.
They are looking.
Good morning, Mr. Glebe. You're going to be Kaylo's form teacher, right?
Mr. Glebe, early 30s, a nerdy teacher in a smart shirt and knitted sleeveless jumper and bow tie, adjusts his glasses and addresses Kim Lo.
That's right. Hi, Kaylo. Welcome to...
Kids are definitely laughing and pointing at Kaylo and his mum now. A faint blue line appears around Kaylo again.
Mum.
1 second, darling. You are aware of his situation?
Mum.
Yes, quite aware. We have a number of pupils like Kaylo.
Kaylo looks up at Mr. Glebe anxiously and half stands behind his mum, looking more like a toddler than an 11-year-old.
Shall I show you the way to your class?
A horrible Year 9 kid notices Kaylo stood behind his mum and jeers at him, shouting to her friends.
That new kid! He's walking in by his mummy! Pathetic!
More kids point and laugh. Someone throws an open bottle of milkshake at him. Mr. Glebe and Kim Lo try to get him inside, but there are more kids blocking the door. The blue light around Kaylo glows as his embarrassment and stress grow. Suddenly, cut to interior car. The blue line glows around Kaylo's irises again as he opens his eyes and finds himself in the passenger seat of his mum's car. He gasps as though he's been woken with a large splash of cold water and jerks violently in his seat.
Whoa, it's not that bad. School'll be fine. You might actually like it.
No, it's...
He looks at his mum and she sees the blue rings fading from his eyes.
Again? Where have you come from this time?
I don't want to talk about it.
Kaylo looks concerned, but knows she can't do anything.
Well, you get another chance to try again.
Can I not just go home and play Xbox today? You can call in sick and we can play together like we used to.
Nope.
She leans across him and opens the passenger side door.
You've got to go to school, Kaylo, or you'll never learn to control this, whatever it is.
Please.
No. You got everything you need?
You asked me that last time.
I wasn't there, though.
Well, technically you were.
Don't get smart with me, young man. I'm here in the here and now.
Kaylo grimaces and swings his legs out of the car. He gets out, shuts the door behind him, then leans on the open window.
You were there, though.
Goodbye, Kaylo. I love you. I'll pick you up later, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Exterior, schoolyard. Kaylo pulls the car out and drives off. Kaylo turns and faces the schoolyard and puts on his bag, taking a deep breath. He walks purposefully across the yard, this time avoiding any unwanted attention, reaching the front door and Mr. Glebe.
You're Mr. Glebe.
How do you know that?
From last time.
Last time? Ah, you're Kaylo, right?
Yes.
Do you know where you need to go?
No.
I can show you. Follow me.
He leads Kaylo inside and points down the corridor.
Take a left and then keep going until you reach the door with CWSA department on it.
What colour is the door?
It's yellow. Or at least it usually is. It's yellow. Little window and a silver handle. Pushes into the room.
Thank you.
He turns and walks purposefully away for a few steps before turning back to Mr. Glebe, remembering he's at big school now.
I mean, thank you, sir.
Mr. Glebe smiles and nods.
You're welcome, Kaylo. I'll join you in CWSA for registration shortly.
Kaylo walks off. Mr. Glebe waits at the door for the next new CWSA kid. Interior, school corridor. Kaylo walks along the corridor, passing each door and looking to see if it had the CWSA sign on it. After a moment, he reaches the yellow door Mr. Glebe had sent him to, looks through the window and sees a class of around 8 other seemingly normal kids. He takes a breath and opens the door. Interior, CWSA classroom. Kaylo crosses the threshold and sees the other classmates with special abilities. The classroom is big enough for 30 or so students, but there is only 8 of them. Danny, 13, is the first to notice Kaylo.
Hey everyone, new kid.
Hi, I'm new. Where should I sit?
Danny stretches out, leaning back on his chair, making it clear to Kaylo that he's the top of the pecking order.
Anywhere you like.
Kaylo looks around nervously, but takes one of the seats a few away from Danny, not knowing what to expect. In front of him, he gets his pencil case and water bottle out of his backpack. Sitting in front of him, Sita, 12, wearing glasses, a hijab, and a cheeky grin, turns around to speak to him.
So, what can you do?
What do you mean?
Your powers. You must have one or you wouldn't be here.
Well, what do you do?
This.
Sita leans back and touches Kaylo's pencil case with one finger. It changes from blue to orange.
Hey!
He snatches it back into his lap.
Pretty cool, right?
Put it back!
I can't just do that by thinking. Hand it back to me. I have to touch it before it can work.
Kaylo looks suspicious and tentatively hands it to her. She turns it back to its original colour.
See?
He examines it closely. It's back the way it was. Every stitch. There's a pause as neither of them say anything.
Sorry, mate. She's always doing that. What do you do, though? I mean, what's even your name?
I'm Kaylo. I jump backwards.
Jump backwards? Anyone can do that.
Not like regular jumping. Jumping back in, I jump back in time, but just a little bit, like a few minutes.
Cool. Show us then.
I can't.
No control yet.
Kaylo shakes his head.
Year sevens.
Year sevens.
Another student, Neve, 12, wearing a cool girl take on the school uniform, shouts from the door.
Mr. Glebe's coming. He's got another newbie with him.
In the ensuing scramble to get back to seats and look as if they were ready for their lesson, Kaylo taps Sita and whispers to her,
"What do the others do?"
Well, it's kind of a rude question.
I'm sorry.
Coming in here, thinking you can just ask about someone's powers?
Kaylo splutters.
Hey, I'm just messing with you.
Kaylo begins to blush and the blue glow starts to appear around him again.
What?
This is what I mean about jumping.
The blue glow glows bright around him, attracting the attention of the rest of the class. Kaylo's POV as he jumps back just a few moments. Everything is dark for a moment. It's as though Kaylo is being squeezed from all sides, darkness pressing in on him. He clenches his jaw and his fists until suddenly, cut to interior CWSA classroom. He's back in his seat again, the blue rings appearing around his irises.
Your powers. You must have one or you wouldn't be here?
Kaylo takes a gasping breath.
All right, can't be that surprised about powers. You do have to be referred to get into this place, you know?
You just saw my powers. I jumped back.
Peter looks confused. Kaylo takes off his glasses and points at his eyes, still glowing faintly.
This blue thing happened, but around my whole body. Then I jumped back by a few minutes. You showed me what you can do, and you were about to tell me what the other people can do. That other girl is going to tell us that Mr. Gleber's coming and he's got another new student with him.
Oh, yeah? Then what is it that I can do?
You can change the colour of things. You turned my pencil case orange.
So what's your name?
Kayla. But I already told you that last time. You didn't tell me yours there.
I'm Sita.
Danny.
Sir, what do you do?
I talk to plants, trees, flowers, pondweed, anything. What about you?
Coral?
Technically an animal, not a plant. I can talk to algae, though. Doesn't have much interesting stuff to say other than...
I jump backwards in time, just a little bit, but no control yet. I know, year sevens, but I'm going to learn to control it.
Wow. Never met a jumper before.
For the first time, Kaylo smiles among his peers.
Mr. Gleber's coming, he's got another newbie with him.
The classroom scrambles to get in order, all signs of mischief vanishing below desks or into bags.
Sir, what do the others do?
Well, that's kind of a rude question.
You're not getting me with that one again. Last time that made me jump back to, well, just now. Anyway, you asked me first.
Fair, sorry.
He sits and whispers as we focus on each of the students.
Danny. He's a bottom path, speaks to plants. And then there's Neve. She can read and remember absolutely anything. Makes exams totally pointless on her. She's just totally crap at PE though.
What about him?
That's Jake. He's got super hearing, has to wear those things to stop him from going mad. And these tiny little sounds. Says that, you know, his hearing makes his hearing closer to normal.
Well done, Rosa. I really enjoyed that. Such a delightful world and quirky, engaging characters. That was a wonderful way to end our evening and to end our 3 evenings of extracts of our student scripts. First of all, before we add a few thoughts for Rosa in the chat, could I ask you to turn your cameras on and we can give a big round of applause to everybody, and turn your mics on as well, and perhaps we can just spend experience some of that live theatre thing for a minute or